There aren't too many new Micro Four Thirds cameras out there these days. Despite of this, Panasonic jam-packed this new GH7 with a bunch of really cool features such as RAW recording and many more, but gave it a small Micro Four Thirds sensor. In this video, I'm gonna tell you if this is really worth it investing. We tested the camera for several months now and have a pretty good understanding of what the camera can do and what it can't do. Coming up. Hi guys, my name is Paul. I'm a German-based cinematographer and this channel is all about filmmaking, gear reviews, but also DaVinci Resolve tutorials. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So let's talk about the Panasonic GH7 for a bit. The body is basically the same as it was for previous generations. It's very similar to the GH5 and it's basically identical to the GH6. You know, we have our flip out screen, which is great. We now have batteries from the S5, which is pretty cool. One thing that is different is that we have now CF Express cards because we need that for the data rates, and we also have an SD card. We have full-size HDMI, headphone jack, and also here in front we have timecode, which I really like. One thing that I really would have wished for, especially if it's a camera that is so video focused as this one, that we have some threads on the body to probably mount a cage onto here. So this is something that I'm missing not only from Panasonic but also from other brands. If we have these smaller bodies, that we have at least some threads to properly secure the cage, and then we can rig out our camera as we need to. Maybe let's talk about the image quality, what this little camera here can offer. And actually the image quality, as you maybe know from Panasonic, is just great. The colors straight out of camera look really amazing. I really like the detail and how neutral and natural these colors look. So I'm a big fan of that, honestly. And we also have pretty cool slow motion in this camera, since we can shoot in full HD up to 300 frames per second. So that looks really epic, I would say. But we also have the open gate functionality as we have in other Panasonic cameras. So in this mode, in the open gate mode, we can shoot in 5.8K and up to 60 frames per second. I was also curious to see how well performs the camera in terms of dynamic range, because as you remember the GH6, I wasn't a big fan of that, particularly when it comes to dynamic range. So I did my over and under exposure test, and the camera does very well when overexposing up to 3 stops. And at the 4th stop you see like that the white point is clipping and a little bit of the skin. So I would rate that to 3.5 stops for overexposure. And for underexposure, I was really surprised that I could achieve 3 stops of underexposure. If we go to 4 or even to 5, it's pretty unusable. That makes a latitude of 6.5 stops, which is pretty decent, because when I tested the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, I was able to achieve 5.5 stops. But as we have such a small sensor, there's always the problem with low light, right? Because the sensor itself is not able to detect a lot of light. So I was also testing low light, and I would say you can use the camera up to ISO 1600. 3200 is too much. So, and I also compared it to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, and it's pretty equal when it comes to noise performance. I would say the noise is a little bit more fine on the GH7, so overall I would keep the ISO always between 500 or 800 if you can, and just in case bumping it up to 1600. Besides the overall image quality, the GH7 also packs a bunch of new features which are worth mentioning, of course. Also now we can record internally ProRes RAW, which is really cool, and therefore we need obviously the CF Express card. And it also can record ProRes internally in, also in 4K, and it's not limited to a specific resolution, which is cool. ProRes RAW, just to mention, is not available in OpenGate. It's only in a 17:9 aspect ratio. It also has the new autofocus, which we know from the S9 and S5 and S5 2X. So that works really well, and also with all the tracking implementation. And we also have 2 additional features. One is that we have a new XLR adapter, which I've already attached to the camera here. You have 3 inputs there, and this one enables this camera to record 32-bit float audio, which is pretty cool. You can set it internally, but it will be baked in, so you don't have to sync it later on, which is also cool. You can also record separately so that you have a different or separate audio file, but that only works if you are just recording in normal audio in that matter. But look at this. It is locked here on the hot shoe, but yeah, it's wiggling. And I would have wished for a rock solid solution here that's really solid. And this is obviously not. And also for the price, this one costs you around 500 bucks, which is pretty much expensive, I would say. And for example, you can get a Zoom F3, which is also pretty compact, and it also has 32-bit float, and you can use it as an external recorder also. That one costs you 300 bucks. Then we have another paid upgrade, which is ARRI Lock-C. That one will run you around 200 bucks. And I think it's the first time ever that ARRI licensed their log profile to somebody else. And that is really nice because I already tested that, also compared it to Vlog. And you can directly see that the color rendition is different when you convert it into a normal CSD in Resolve. And that is really powerful because you can use it in the ARRI pipeline, in the ARRI color pipeline. You can use all the plugins that are made for ARRI, and if you already own an ARRI, you can use the GH7 actually as a B or C cam or as a crash cam, whatever, and have the direct color profile here, which makes it very easy to match them in post, and you don't have to rent or buy another ARRI. So who's the GH7 really for? So basically it's a really nice compact camera with a bunch of really cool features. But in the end, I think this camera has a hard time because I can barely recommend it because it has a small MFT sensor. And for almost the same price, I can get an S5 2X. So you see, I would rather pick a full frame sensor than a micro four thirds sensor because I always have like more advantages in low light. And if we stay in the MFT route, we also have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. This camera is 1,000 euros cheaper and also has internal RAW, also has XLR. I really only can see this camera as a really good BTS camera or as a point and shoot stage camera because it has no recording limit and you have good audio options here. And also I see it as a B or C cam for an ARRI user because we have ARRI Lock-C in it here. I personally would advise to invest in a full frame system. So thanks Panasonic for sending the GH7, and if you have any further questions, just drop them down in the comments below and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers!